If you walk through a Portuguese neighborhood on a late June evening, you will hit a physical wall of charcoal smoke. Underneath that is the sharp, earthy scent of sweet basil, the manjerico, and bleeding through the winding cobblestone alleys is the distant echo of a brass band. Follow that smoke into Porto, and you find a celebration of staggering scale. On the eve of São João, hundreds of thousands of people pack the Douro riverfront. The entire city center shuts down for an illuminated street party that lasts well past dawn. In the middle of this crowd, strangers playfully tap each other on the head with squeaky plastic hammers. It looks like a modern novelty, but this is a democratized version of an ancient courtship ritual. Historically, people struck each other with pungent leek flowers to pass on fertility and ward off the evil eye. Down in Lisbon, the massive Marchas Populares parade down Avenida de Liberdade. While neighborhood rivalries fuel the event today, this highly competitive pageantry was formalized in the 1930s by the Estado Novo dictatorship, which standardized spontaneous street dances into an organized, state-approved spectacle. But step away from the main avenues, and the scale collapses into something much more intimate. In the steep historic quarters like Alfama and Moraria, the celebration happens on a hyper-local level, squeezed between front doors, narrow staircases, and glowing paper lanterns. These urban spectacles are famous worldwide, yet they are heavily modernized layers built over older foundations. To uncover the mechanical survival of the ancient summer solstice, we have to leave the capitals behind and follow the smoke outward into the provinces. Heading north to Braga, the June festivals merge directly with Portugal's historic spiritual center. Here, civic celebration is inextricably linked to deep Catholic devotion. The region's folklore is on full display in the streets. Marching groups wear traditional Minho costumes, carrying centuries of regional history in the heavy gold jewelry and intricate embroidery of their skirts and headscarves. Amidst the dancing, solemn religious processions wind through the ancient stonework. Statues of saints, lifted on massive floral litters, glide above the crowds, anchoring the revelry to a strict liturgical tradition. Move toward the northern coastline to towns like Figueira da Foz and Póvoa de Varzim, and the focus shifts to St. Peter, the patron saint of fishermen. Here, the rituals address the physical realities of maritime survival. At dawn, thousands of people rush headlong into the freezing Atlantic Ocean. This is the Banho Santo, or holy bath. In these coastal communities, Catholic devotion acts as a vessel for a much older, visceral relationship with the tides. Immersing themselves in the cold water serves as a physical purification, an ancient request for health and a safe harvest from the sea. Travel inland to the rugged mountains of Trás-os-Montes, and the urban sprawl completely disappears. The celebration shrinks down to remote villages, focusing squarely on communal survival. Here, giant pine bonfires dictate the night. Young men hurl themselves over the flames in a severe physical trial of courage. It is a direct continuation of ancient pagan sun worship, using fire to ward off crop disease and bless the incoming summer. Far south on the dry plains of the Alentejo, that same fire burns much smaller. Neighbors gather around tiny street corner grills, sharing space while the deep, polyphonic voices of traditional cante alentejano echo against the whitewashed walls. The deep interior strips away the commercial spectacle. There are no corporate sponsors or televised parades. What remains is fire, earth, and raw agricultural rites woven into the soil for millennia. Cross the Atlantic to Terceira Island in the Azores, and you encounter the Sandroninas. For 10 straight days, the island immerses itself in an exhaustive, citywide celebration of local identity. This 10-day timeline chart reveals the sheer volume of programming. A daily buildup of marching bands, sporting events, and maritime retimas peaks on Monday night. Then, the Marchas Populares take over, as parishes compete using live music, handmade costumes, and choreography telling the island's history. The streets also host the Touradas à Corda, rope bullfights, where massive bulls charge over historic cobblestones, guided only by men holding a single thick rope. Despite its enormous scale, the Sandroninas remains fiercely uncurated for tourists. It is a profound, exhausting display of pageantry that is built by the island, entirely for the island. Whether it is an Azorean parade, a northern beach at dawn, or a Lisbon alleyway, all of these varied geographies share a single unifying structure: the Arraial, the neighborhood street party. By occupying the public street and sharing ritualized foods like grilled sardines and cornbread, the community physically rearranges its social structure. Bosses and employees, rich and poor, sit at the same wooden tables. For the month of June, rigid social hierarchies are temporarily suspended. In these moments, the neighborhood is no longer a collection of private homes, but a single shared dining room. By eating and dancing on the same patch of pavement, residents are forced to acknowledge the neighbors they might otherwise only see through a peehole. This tradition survives only because of this direct participation. It is maintained not by archiving its history in a book, but by thousands of people dragging their own chairs and grills out into the street every single year. As long as the bonfires burn and the sweet basil is passed between neighbors, the true essence of the Portuguese June remains an unbroken, centuries-old dialogue with the seasons and a fierce assertion of local identity.